No sexy sex tonight, you guys, but welcome in to the PHNX Suns postgame show. Unfortunately, we get the sad music because the Phoenix Suns have fallen to the Memphis Grizzlies 121-115. I'm Lindsay Smith, that's Saul Bookman, that's Flex, that's Espo. Gerald Bourguet will be joining us later on in the show with updates from players and coach. But guys, how you feeling after that one?
Tired?
I mean, you can't turn the ball over and then give them multiple second chance opportunities time after time again in the fourth quarter. That just can't happen. And that was the biggest reason why they just melted down in the fourth.
Yeah, I'm looking at this game. It's all about focus. You just got to beat a Memphis team. You're up 13. You're up 11 going into the fourth. You just got to have that mental focus to know that this is a game you got to finish. The whole night felt like they were just playing down to the competition and just going with the flow and not taking advantage of leads and not trying to put the game away. They played with their food and they got their ass whooped. That's what it comes down to. I'm not feeding too much into it. They just played a bad game and they got their butts whooped.
This is the same team we saw earlier in the year. It's the same fourth quarter script we saw earlier in the year. It was a 16-point swing in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. There's no excuse for that when you have the big three, when you are at pretty much full strength and you can't finish the job. Absolutely no reason for it. The Grizzlies outshot them by 16% in the fourth quarter. It was, and they had 3 fewer shots and they still outscored the Suns by 16 points in that fourth. This was an abysmal effort in the fourth. And we're getting to the point where excuses, you're running out of them when you play like this. This was a bad game. There's no excuses. This was a bad game.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you, but am I the only one who doesn't feel like really that bad? I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's just because I'm in a decent mood at the moment, if it's because I already got out all of my frustrations about this team for a diehard roundtable that's coming out tomorrow. Also, become a diehard, go phnx.com. But I'm just like, yeah, this game sucked. I didn't enjoy watching it. The Suns didn't do what they were supposed to do, but I don't feel bad per se. Like, it doesn't feel like it felt when we lost in December. I don't have those same vibes.
I don't either. I don't either. It's a disappointing loss for me. That's it.
I mean, I've never lived and died by every single game in an NBA season. And I won't now. They got things they got to work on. And I know, there's a section of people out there that were like, the big three does matter. Well, the big three can only matter so much until you turn the ball over. Same thing that's been happening all season.
But they only turned it over 12 times.
Yeah, but
it's not like they did.
It's when they turned it over. It's the key opportunities that they turned it over, right? Careless possessions in the fourth quarter, you're throwing the ball out of bounds when you don't need to do that, forcing passes that don't need to happen. Like there's a difference between getting, if you lose the turnover battle, okay, cool. But if you turn the ball over in key opportunities when you're trying to get that bucket to give you from 8 to 10, but you turn the ball over, they hit a 3 and cut it to 5. Like those are the small things throughout a basketball game that are going to kill you. And there's a reason why the Suns keep losing fourth quarters. It's because they are sloppy overall. The multiple offensive rebounds, like they would even secure a rebound, then it gets knocked out of their hand. And those are the things. That's just not championship basketball. So you got to play better than that in the fourth quarter. And the biggest thing that I will also say is it just felt like the Grizzlies played with more effort.
Yeah.
Overall, like they fought to get back into the game and then they fought to take the lead. And you can't really say the same about the Suns.
Yeah, but that's who the Grizzlies are. Yeah. Like that's a part of I know that they struggled a lot early on when Ja was out this season, but that's always kind of been a little bit of their identity. And the Grizzlies are a really good fourth quarter team. Usually the Grizzlies suck in the first half, and then they turn it on in the fourth quarter especially, whereas which the Suns have struggled in fourth quarters this season.
Yeah, but okay, I get that that's what the Grizzlies are, but at what point do we just say this is what the Suns are?
No,
because they keep showing us that they have a propensity, specifically in the fourth quarters, to give up these leads. And I get it. We're going to say, well, the big three hasn't been healthy. Well, we don't know that they're going to be ever healthy in this year. But what we've seen is they've been consistently inconsistent all year. And that's the only thing we can count on with this team is they're inconsistent.
Yeah. Again, I'm not tripping on this game. It sucks. We lost. I hate that we lost. But, guys like Kevin and Devin and Brad, you hear them say it all the time. It's a miss and make league. There's not too much to talk about. Look at the 3-point shooting. They hit 8 threes tonight. That's it. That's the ball game. They hit 8 3-pointers. I mean, Grayson Allen by himself hit 9 the other night. Mm-hmm. The shots go in, you win. They don't go in, you lose. I mean, it's that simple. They lost this game at the 3-point line, 17-8. Y'all mathematicians do the math. It is what it is. That's the ball game. And so it's a miss or make league, Espo. I mean, the other night we won by 20 because Miami missed a shit ton of 3-pointers, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Well, same thing. We just got it reversed. Should that happen? No. We're better than Memphis. I'm not worried. I'm not looking at this game saying, oh my God, the Suns have a dramatic problem. We lost to Memphis. Nah. They didn't make shots tonight. They weren't mentally focused. If anything, that's my biggest problem is, we have to get to the point where they're not playing down the competition or they're not losing focus in the middle of a game that's over. Like that I will say needs to get worked on. But the basketball aspect of it, just want them nice.
Look, they're 19-17. If they had 25, 26 wins, I shrug off a loss like this because it's like, all right, you did have a bad night. But there's only so many times you can have these bad nights in a season before you start to go, okay, is this team just who they've been? I mean, they're 19-17. This was a team that everybody thought was going to be much better. And again, all I believe in this team right now is they're consistently inconsistent. I don't feel like I can trust, a performance like the other night because it's followed up with a performance like tonight, especially on the front end of a back-to-back. You needed to take care of business, so you had some legs for tomorrow, and you couldn't shut the door going into the beginning of the fourth, and your guys played the entire game.
The record part about it, I get what you're saying, Espo, but again, it's not an excuse. I mean, they haven't been healthy all year, so the record part of it, I get it, but I don't think that's who the team is. I don't think you can look at the record and say this is who they are. Because of they just haven't had the full deck of cards. Tonight was a bad game. That's just my opinion on it. Tonight was a bad game. Hopefully tomorrow they'll play better. If not, that's a tough Clipper team. They in trouble.
I'm not entirely sure the Suns know who they are as a team just
yet.
They
don't.
So I don't know that we can definitively say that this is who they are. Do I think they've shown us a fair amount where we're getting closer to that? Yeah, sure. But I don't think as a whole, the Suns even really know entirely who they are as a team. But let's take a look at what's in the box presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes.
What's in the box?
Yeah, tough loss tonight, 121-115. Again, 3-point line, 8 for 28, 29%. Grizzlies shoot 17 for 49, 35%. In my opinion, that's the ball game. Field goal percentage was pretty much right there. The Suns outshot them. 46 for 102 for 45%. Grizzlies shoot 97 shots tonight, 43 on 97, 44%. The offense, the rebounds is interesting. It's 54-50, and it looks a lot closer. But, man, in that fourth quarter, they couldn't grab a rebound.
No.
They couldn't grab an offensive rebound. They couldn't grab a defensive rebound. Memphis was all over the glass. It looks like it's just a 4-rebound differential, but it felt much worse going into that fourth quarter. And then what Saul said, points off turnovers. They got 18. 18 points off our turnovers. We only had 12 turnovers, but they got 18 points off of it. So 18-12 in the points off turnovers, and that's how you lose a 6-point game to the Memphis Grizzlies.
And on the rebounding front, that 54, they were giving up a league low 40, I think it was 40.8 rebounds a game. So that's almost 14 over their average as well. So this was not your typical night on the boards for the Phoenix Suns. So,
And you said
I'll
that.
give you that.
Yeah, you were saying that the whole time, like we don't do that. And so this is why when we look at all the stats and we jumble everything together, you look at some anomalies and you're like, I know that's not the Phoenix Suns. We don't do that on the glass.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies hit 5 threes in the fourth. Suns hit 0.
Mhm.
And then you look at the free throw line as well. The Grizzlies went to the free throw line 9 times, hit 8, and the Suns only went 4 times, hitting 2.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of things that you can point out
Yeah.
throughout this game. It was ugly. And again, like I will say this, like I'm not hitting the panic button or anything like that, but what Espo's saying is right. Like we've seen this movie 17 times already. Like it's the same stuff that has been hindering this team all season, like sloppy play, the rebounds at just inopportune times, turnovers at the worst of times, like, and going cold when you don't need to go cold. Like the fourth quarter seems to be a pretty big nemesis for this team right now. And I know they're going to figure some things out, and they got to get adjusted to each other and blah blah blah. We've already we talked about that at length, and I mean I don't know what else more you can say. It's a fact that they got to still work on themselves and get some chemistry and figure things out. And I still believe that they can, and they'll get better as the season goes on. But some of the things, the frustrating part is just the things that they can control that are outside of just the chemistry issues.
Mhm.
Things that individual players can control, like effort on the boards, turning the ball over. Like you have full control of that. You don't need to do what you're doing right now in order to give teams more opportunities to get back in games. And they got to figure this out.
You bring up the 3-point shooting in the fourth, but in the second half, they were 1 of 11. You're not going to win NBA games when you go 1 of 11
Yeah.
from deep in a half of basketball.
This is true. But the reason why I'm not buying the 3-point argument is, despite the fact they only hit 1 3, right? In the third quarter, they took a double-digit lead.
Yeah.
Because everything else was going. Like they were getting shots at the rim. It was falling. They were being aggressive. They were playing with purpose. But, in the fourth quarter, it all flipped.
Yeah. I mean, that is a big part of it, but I do think 3-point shooting is something the Suns have relied on a little bit more this year than they have in years past. And I think the most frustrating part about the stats when you look at this game specifically from the 3-point line is that the Grizzlies give up the second most threes in the league right now.
Yeah, we only took 28.
Yeah.
And they took almost 50.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a problem
Like
to me.
we should have been able to take advantage
Yes.
of that. That should have been an easy way for the Suns to get points tonight. Because you have to take advantage of that when you're playing an opponent and that's one of their weaknesses and you don't exploit it. That's on you.
Well, and the Grizzlies have the third worst 3-point percentage given up this year. They give up 38.7% from deep. So this isn't a great defensive team when it comes to the 3-point line either.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is one of those games where had the Suns won this game, we'd be playing the sexy sax, we dancing around. They won by 2. How much does it change? It doesn't make me feel any better or worse. It's like, we barely beat the Grizzlies. Like, so I'm not getting high, I'm not getting low. I mean, it's just this is just a bad game. Whether they won or lost, it was a bad game. Brad Beal had a wide open 3-point shot. 2 minutes left, up 2. He makes that shot, you go up 5, game's probably over.
He had a weird hesitation, though.
He
took
did.
a dribble in it.
He took a
for
dribble.
some reason.
A lot of times guys want to take the dribble, set their feet. That kind of drives me crazy sometimes to take the shot in rhythm. But yeah, I mean, there was a couple of them. KD had a pull-up. KD had a pull-up jumper about the 2.5 minute mark to go up 4. He just hit the same shot right before, missed it. So yeah, I mean, it looks like it was completely atrocious, but they had plenty of opportunities to win this game and they didn't. And Memphis took advantage and they did. So kudos to Memphis.
Yeah. Don't forget to check out our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. And right now they want to hook you up with some bonus bucks. So when you open a free checking account online, you're going to get $200 in bonuses. So get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. And you can take that $200 and you can treat yourself to a night out at Four Peaks, because Four Peaks has great vibes at their brewery. They've got delicious food and, of course, fantastic beer. And it's a new year, and that means they've got a new beer right now, you guys. The Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale. It's super drinkable and the perfect companion either at Four Peaks, at home, or at the tee box, or when you're hanging out with your buddies on the golf course. So visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events. You can check them out on social at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. But you must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and we ask that you please drink responsibly.
You know, there was a play in the fourth quarter, and I feel like, and I'm not, obviously this is not this single play was not the reason why the Suns lost, but it kind of gives you a little picture of what was going on in the fourth quarter. The Suns got the rebound, and I don't know if it was Nurk. Maybe he passed it to Grayson, but Bradley Beal was expecting the outlet, and he was in the corner, and he just kind of sat there while the rest of the team was going down the court.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and I'm like, Brad, where the hell are you at? And then he finally crossed half court with like 14 seconds left to go. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? Like, why aren't you running with the team? Like, what? Like, and it wasn't because of an attitude or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. It was just one of those things where he was trying to be like funny, I guess. And then he just left. Yeah. And I'm like, it's the fourth quarter. Can we take this a little more seriously? That's it. And I feel like sometimes, you know, like, listen, I'm all cool with, you know, feeling good out there on the basketball court and doing what you got to do for everybody, right? But I do wish that there was a little bit more intensity from this team in the fourth quarter. I feel like they just kind of get lost. They kind of have this glazed look over their face, like they don't know who to go to or who's going to pull out a bucket. And it just is, I don't know. And I think that's the reason why the vibes are kind of low right now, because it's just like, I don't know. It wasn't the greatest basketball. You know, Memphis, you know, played their asses off and the Suns didn't. And you're sitting there looking at this team like you don't have the luxury right now to fuck around, because you might end up finding out because of the injuries. Like, what, you think these guys are going to be healthy for the next 50 games? No, that's not going to happen. So you got to take advantage of games like tonight when you do have all three guys. And that lack of effort in the fourth quarter is really, really what just frustrates the hell out of not only me, but also a lot of you in the chat and the fan base. It's just they're taking things for granted right now, and it's gonna bite them in the ass.
I think that's my biggest thing, taking things for granted. I just feel, again, I keep saying play down to the competition. And I just felt it the whole night they didn't take this Memphis team serious.
But good teams, great teams, don't do that.
They're not great.
This team is middle of the pack right now, and at best. And I brought up the stat pregame, and I'll bring it up updated now. They are 4-13 when they're favored by 4.5 or more in a game, which hammers home to me lesser competition. You're doing just what you're saying. You're playing down to them. You're middle of the road in doing that. This is a team, and I get it. The point spread isn't the end all be all, but when you're favored by 4.5, that 10 or more, that says you're playing a significantly lesser opponent, and you're 4-13 against the spread in those situations, which means you're just playing bad basketball against inferior opponents.
Yeah. Again, it's just, to me, it's a lack of focus. I was looking at something tonight, and I'm going to look at the tape when I get home, but I saw a different rhythm to the team versus Miami the other night. And KD comes back tonight, and that rhythm was completely gone. And so, again, it makes me wonder sometimes if these guys just start looking at each other and saying, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. And you can lose basketball games when you do that. Now, they don't do that every night. They're 5-2 in the last 7. Okay, so they're not playing horrendous basketball. They should have won tonight. It could be 6-1 in the last 7. I'm not going to sit here and act like this team hasn't shown improvement. They've shown improvement. Tonight was a step in the wrong direction. But 5-2 in the last 7. KD just came back. I'm not really tripping over this basketball game. I'm disappointed, but I don't live and die with every win and loss. I'm over that. And you're not going to be able to with this basketball team.
Well, and I think, too, that, like, yes, I am very disappointed in the way they played tonight. But we would have seen this more if, like, you rewind to the middle of December, this would have taken completely over this team, a loss like this.
Yeah.
But we saw even on Wednesday when they lost to the Clippers, they went into the locker room, they had to talk about it, and they turned things on. Like, we're seeing improvement from this team. And to your point with Kevin Durant coming back, like, I think it's easier to navigate a big 2 than it is a big 3.
Yep.
And they still haven't had a lot of opportunity to play together, and hopefully we'll get that. Like, I'm disappointed in tonight's game. This is not okay, but I don't think this is nearly as bad as where we were sitting in December.
Agreed.
I don't know. I just don't feel like it's that bad.
I agree, but
or as bad. Not that it's not bad.
I agree with that. It doesn't feel like it did in December, like, oh, the house is burning down. But the thing to me is, Saul brings up the effort. That doesn't have anything to do with the big 3 trying to figure out how to play together.
Nope.
Like, those are the things I don't understand with this team is where is that? Like, that's not dependent on the big 3 knowing how to pass the ball to each other in certain situations.
How does
little things?
How does a guy get a running start from the top of the key all the way down the lane with nobody within like 3 yards of him all the way down for the tip and dunk? How does that happen? How does that happen at the professional basketball level? I don't even understand it. I really don't. But Desmond Bane did it tonight. Man, the Suns had no interest in trying to block him out. Cool.
Yeah.
And that's effort.
I get what y'all saying, man. The effort is a little inconsistent. Again, they play Miami. Miami won 5 out of 6. They didn't play with Jimmy Butler. Miami's a hell of a basketball team, well coached. They're better than Memphis. The Suns dragged them dudes down up the court 48 minutes, just dominate that basketball game. So again, I don't know. Maybe I look at basketball different. I just can't go crazy with a game just a day 2 days ago. We're sitting here on a 20-point win, and now you lose tonight, and I'm not into that. I'm not into like forgetting what happened just a day and a half. Like I don't do that. Tonight was a shitty game, and again, effort got nothing. You got the same effort. I get that. I'm gonna go back to the 3-point line. You make 2 more threes, you win the fucking game. Like, that's what it comes down to. 2 more threes. You shot 8 for 28. Like, you missed 20. You make 2 more threes, you win this basketball game. So it's a thin line. So effort could be better, but it's a miss or make league, man. This is a miss or make league across the board. Sacramento's pretty damn good. They were down 42 at the half today. That's a good basketball team, which is only 3 games better than us, by the way. And so I don't think I'm gonna go home and watch the Sacramento game and say, oh shit, Sacramento ain't got no effort. They soft, they this, they that. They're not getting it together. They're only 3 games better than us. And that's that team just got their asses whooped and were down 42 at the half at home. So I guess that's my thing.
But I get that. But again, like you're playing a dangerous game if you're constantly comparing your team to other teams and based how they're doing, right? Like, we've seen the Suns now for, let's do the math, 38 games, 36 games, 19 and 17?
36 games.
36 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there, even in the wins, there's a lot of these repetitive issues, competitive-wise. You know, the effort, the turnovers, things like that. And your aspirations, and I know the Miami Heat made it to the finals last year, cool, but your aspirations are to get to that level, and you don't have a culture with a coach and a GM yet that you've built for decades, right? The Miami Heat have that with Spoelstra for the last 15 years.
That's fair.
With the Suns don't have that. They're trying to figure out Vogel, and they're trying to figure out all these new pieces and stuff like that. Like, so they have something to fall back on in terms of like the root of who they are, their DNA. I don't know what the Suns' DNA is right now at all, right? And so you play that dangerous game, like I said, in terms of comparing us to other teams. when they are in different positions than you are. So maybe like the Kings, for instance, they're down 42, but Mike Brown has established a kind of a culture there, and they know exactly what they're trying to do, and they showed it last year. And they have an off night is an off night, and I totally get that. But I also think that there's a lot that we still got to learn about this team, and that's the scary part. I don't know who this team is. From night to night, they can be really, really fun, or they can be frustrating as hell. Who are they? And we're still finding it out.
For me too, the Kings are still a young, up and coming team, right? The expectation for this team was championship all in, and I get it. People are saying, well, you need to adjust the expectations, but I don't think you do when you put as much in to this year, and you came in basically saying, to hell with the future, it's the now, it's this year, it's next year. So I think the stakes are just higher in this. So when you're sitting at 19 and 17, regardless of the injuries or whatever, it just feels like it needs to be better. And the Kings were playing the Pelicans, right? Who are hot, who have their guys. The Suns were playing the Grizzlies, who had a nice win against LA the other night, but we're missing Ja. It feels different to me. And at some point, maybe I do get past the, championship, and I just accept some of what's going on this year, but I don't feel like I should have to, because when you put together three guys as talented as KD, Booker, and Beal, your expectations should be high.
Okay, so I want to piggyback off of that. I'm going to ask everybody here on this panel, honestly, we're 19 and 17?
Mm-hmm.
If we had no injuries, if we play with a full deck of cards, we had no bad Beal 25 games out, we had, hypothetically, with what you've seen, what's our record? What's our record? 19 and 17. What's our record? I
don't know.
I have no idea.
They could be 19 and 17 still. They could.
See,
I have not seen.
I totally disagree with that, man. There's no. I mean, they're 19 and 17 with all the issues. I gotta believe that if they're all healthy for a whole damn year, you add another 5 wins and take 5 wins off. Take 5 losses off. There's emphatically. I will argue this shit to my grave. You give me the full 3 for the whole damn season, and 19 and 17 is 23 and 12.
Yeah, but
and that's top of the Western Conference.
But the averages tell you you're not going to have that situation. We're living in the situation we are.
Right.
So
and he were an 8th seed that had injuries last year, and when they got right, they made it to the finals.
I get it. I'm just saying you're running out of that runway. There's only so much we can say because
I just hate that if we would have won tonight, this be a whole different thing.
I would still feel a similar way, because even if you win by 2, but you have a fourth quarter like that again, I'm not sure who this group is still.
Yeah.
Because they're still doing the same things that got you to a 19 and 17 record.
Yeah.
Or a 20 and 16. Either way, like I just go, I don't feel confident right now in this group being able to accomplish what they were put together to do based on some of the inefficiencies and inconsistencies we've seen. That's my simple point.
That's fair. I mean, we agree to disagree there. I'm not panicking, man. I'm telling y'all. I can't wait for the end of the season. I really can't. We'll see what you last. Somebody said something?
Fucking said, Spartan 7 said, Flex, that dude was playing the triangle when the Titanic sinks.
Hey, bro. Man, I might have been.
He was playing zone when the Titanic sank.
Hey, are we sure we're really sinking? Are we sure? That water kind of look like it's not going to get that deep, right?
Hey, if we didn't hit that iceberg, we would have made it to the destination,
We ain't really sinking. Can't your book right there. They got a boat for us.
You know what that boat is? That boat is full of Sombreros. Sombreros is a family-owned and operated. It is. Sombreros makes everything better. Tell me it's not.
Lance.
If your Titanic is sinking, grab a burrito.
Tell me that a burrito dodoesn't make everything better.
Hey, a Sombreros burrito does make everything better.
Tell me a burrito doesn't make everything better.
I love Sombreros, but hey, if I eat that shit before I fucking get in the water, I'm sinking all the way to the bottom.
Oh, that sounds like a you problem, not an us problem. Sombreros is family-owned and operated and was voted Arizona's most loved Mexican restaurant restaurant.
I did not have that on my 2024
Let
calendar.
Some Burrows cater
Titanic
your
Some
next
Burrows.
meal, big or small. Order online. Or find one near you by visiting someburrows.com.
Hey, look at that. It's the best boat ever. It's full of some burrows. All right, swim over there.
I love it.
Oh,
Lynn.
my goodness.
Oh, God.
Also, you can have a great time out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
Like we
They've
did
got
today.
an unprecedented level of entertainment and excitement that you will not find anywhere else. Their state-of-the-art gaming floor has it all with over 800 slot machines, 15 blackjack tables and live table games, and Arizona's largest casino sports book. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
It is true. When it comes to flexing the Suns, and I'm not. This is not no disrespect. Flex is never letting go. He's never letting go. He's holding on forever.
Yeah.
Flex is holding on to that door as I'm sinking.
I believe
All
in my
right.
guys.
Let's look at some super chats here, guys, because I feel like we have a lot of things to get to that you guys are feeling. All right. AZ Realtor. We're going to have to see if we can find a comment that they dropped because you sent us super chat, but you didn't add a comment. So if you want to just add another comment, you don't have to send another super chat. Just put a comment in the chat and we'll get to it, okay? Dawn sent us one. Dawn said, Ishbia needs to buy a spaceship to Moron Mountain so we can get Booker's talent back. I don't know what that is.
Son, for fuck's sake, stop looking
Suns.
past inferior opponents.
Okay, there you go.
That's what he said to finish it off.
There
in
you
all
go.
caps.
What?
That's a
What?
lot.
Was Moron Mountain in Space Jam?
Yeah.
Was it called
Yeah.
Moron Mountain?
I'm
that what
pretty
it is?
sure it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Was
that's
man,
Space Jam.
They were
yeah.
lax with what they
Oh,
let
wow.
get away in the
Okay.
90s.
I'm pretty sure it was a Space Jam thing. That's how
Okay.
I read it. But I agree. They do need to stop looking down on
Yeah.
inferior opponents. That's for sure.
Agreed.
Go to Tech Review said, damn, y'all down bad. Learn from it and on to the next.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel, right?
We have no choice.
Yeah. Travis sent us one. Thank you, Travis. They said, forgivable loss if they can smoke LA tomorrow.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, honestly, do we not feel like a complete 180 tomorrow on the postgame if they beat the Clippers?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
hell
Yeah.
yeah.
But look, I mean, you always think, okay, we'd love to go 2-0 on a back-to-back, but 1-1 is usually realistic in a lot of those situations. So you got to get one. Can't go 0-2 in the back-to-back. Now go get one. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got one from Benjamin. Benjamin said, fourth quarter is when teams put all other concerns aside and put their best foot forward. Suns suck at fourth quarters because their best foot isn't good.
we don't know yet.
They were pretty good on Friday.
Yeah. I mean, they were pretty good on Friday. They were decent in the second
Yeah.
half on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I mean, Grayson Allen was otherworldly
On Friday, yeah.
So what was he tonight?
He was okay.
Yeah.
It was
I
pretty
mean,
good.
He was
No,
okay.
I'm not mad
tonight.
at Grayson. I'm not
No.
mad at Grayson.
Like
I
I
don't
mean, it's
expect
four
him
and
to
seven
I'm not
from
mad at
deep.
Grayson. I just asked that question just
so, I want to talk about this for a second because this has come up multiple times from Wednesday's game, right? About how they played really well in the second half, but they didn't play good in the first half, right?
Mhm.
But because they were so far behind in the first half,
Yeah.
they had, they could never make up that gap, right? I'm reminded of my time in high school playing like really, really good teams and doing the same thing. And it's a bit of fool's gold because, we had a good fourth quarter. So we're like, man, if we would have just played like that the whole game, we would have beat them. Well, yeah, if ifs were a fifth, we'd all be drunk, like Devin Booker said. Like, you got to play, you got to ball all four quarters. Like, if you can't do it from the start to the finish, then you're not a good team. And I think that's the Suns they're an average team right now. Their record says they're 19-17.
They are who they
That's
are.
just a little bit above average. That's exactly who they are right now. And they got some things that they got to figure out. But by no means does it mean that they're going to be a 19-17 type team when they get to the end of the season. We're just hoping that they start to take advantage of these small opportunities against these inferior opponents, because when they got to play these big dogs, like, you're not going to win every single game against the big dogs. Like, you're going to lose some.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of the weaker ones. You're costing yourself seeding. You're costing yourself playoff positioning. You're costing yourself a lot of opportunities, and you got to fix it.
Agreed.
Only two guys tonight shot over 50%. Devin Booker at 9 of 17. Drew Eubanks at 2 of 3.
Yeah. Miss or make lead. Miss or
I
make lead.
I get it's as simple as that, but yeah, I mean, this was a bad night from the field, especially in that second half. So.
Yeah.
Okay, AZ Real Realtor sent us one, and they said, this team lacks leadership, and they need it bad. Do you guys feel like this team lacks leadership right now? I know we talked about it earlier on in the season. Do you feel like it's still that way?
Well, they're not going to get any more leadership. I will say that. I mean, I don't know if he's talking about players or coaches. But
both, probably.
It could be both. From a player perspective, you got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. There's no one walking in the door that I think is going to supplant any of those three guys. So if it's from a player perspective, hey, what you got is what you got. From a coaching perspective, maybe that's something that could be looked at. I will say this, and you brought up high school. I mean, players play the games, coaches coach the games. Coaches have a responsibility to see when the players are not engaged and when the players are not focused and when the awareness isn't there. And I know my coach would call timeout and say, yo, guys, like the last 3 minutes have been shitty. Let's get it together. You know, when you're up 13, you're up 11 going into the fourth, man, this a tough one. Yeah, it's a tough one.
I'll tell you tomorrow how I feel about leadership because I feel like, okay, you can have an off night. It's how you respond to things. It's how you bounce back. It's how you look when you're in the adversity and you're staring it in the face. I think that's when you see the leadership, the coaching, those kind of things. How does it turn out tomorrow night? I think we'll know a lot about that kind of a subject tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Before we look at more super chats, we do have some sound from Kevin Durant on whether the Suns' lack of reps together with the big three is being overlooked in a loss like this.
Only results matter to people that's watching. And context really doesn't matter. So whatever it is, I mean, we know what it takes to build a good team. And expectations from the outside really shouldn't concern us. But we understand with the talent that we have, people expect so much out of us and be disappointed when we take losses like this. So we just got to lock in and be better.
So, I mean, no excuses from KD there. He said results are all that matter to the people watching. So context doesn't really matter that much. Like, sounds like, I mean, it's kind of like an addressing of the situation that, yeah, we haven't gotten it. But at the end of the day, nobody's really going to care. They're going to care whether we win or lose. So we just got to lock in and do our jobs.
Yeah,
it is as simple as that. I mean, they didn't tonight. They didn't get the win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish there was more to say than that, but that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
That's facts.
All right, let's go back to some super chats because we got one that addresses some things that KD said yesterday in one of the Suns courtside chats. So Girthquake 416 sent us one. Thank you. We appreciate you. They said that sit-down interview yesterday, the big three was more... Hold on, let me try this again. That sit-down interview yesterday, the big three, more specific, KD, casually said the guys sometimes stay up until 3 a.m. playing video games. The product on the floor has been dog shit lately. Is this a cause for concern to you guys? So, I don't know why Saul just left. But my take on this is no. As far as the playing video games until 3 a.m., like, there could be much worse things that guys are out doing until 3 a.m. and that guys are doing until 3 a.m.
Correct.
I just think it's one of those things where it's like, you're a professional athlete. You're going to be out. You're going to be awake.
Well,
your schedule is different all the time.
This isn't a goddamn CPA staying up till 3 a.m. when he's got to get up at 6 a.m. to go to the office and crunch numbers.
Correct.
Like, these are guys that are expected to be at their peak mental performance from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. And then there's a whole
decompression
and decompression time that you go through.
Like, even for
you're
us,
eating at fucking 10:30 at night when you're a basketball
like
player.
even for us working in this industry, like especially when I was working for teams, because you have a couple hours after the game where you're still doing things, and guys do the same things. You know what I mean? Like, it still takes like an hour for them or so to get out of the arena.
Yeah.
Then there's like a come down period.
Yeah,
right?
you have to.
Like you have to think about it as if like if you're in your job, you present to your boss every day at noon. You're probably going to be the most awake, aware, and like at your peak at noon because that's when you have to perform the best, right?
Yeah.
These guys are at the height of their day from like 7 to 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a while for them to kind of wind down. You know what I mean?
Different time zones.
Yeah,
And
like it's one of
travel.
those weird schedules that it's really hard to understand until you're kind of in the thick of it. And then you're like, yeah, no, that kind of makes sense why they'd be up that late.
Like, have you ever worked at a job that has just been stressful?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes,
and,
every day.
yeah, I mean,
This
like,
one,
well,
just kidding.
like honestly, like facts, like it gets stressful around here from time to time. Like we have a lot of things that we're trying to get accomplished and stuff. And so when I go home, honestly, sometimes the last thing I want to do is watch sports. I just need to take my mind away from sports just to kind of decompress, get away from it for a little bit, enjoy time with the family or go like build something in the garage or barbecue or whatever, right? I just need to decompress. Like I'm cool with these guys doing this until 3:00 in the morning rather than a lot of NBA players when they come to town, they're out till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning in Scottsdale. They're out, clubbing, they're going to get drinks, and then they come in and they play a game, and you would never know. Sometimes you would never know.
Yeah.
So it's not just, all because you don't know what's going on and you assume, oh, the video games. I heard it was the video games, so it must be the video games as to why they're not playing well. Damn, half the damn league is playing video games. The other half has kids, and they got babies that I got to take care of, with their significant others in the middle of the night. When the baby cries at 1:30 in the morning and you got to stay up until 4.
Yeah.
Like, now we're going to knock people for having kids? Like, come on, man. Like, we got to stop with these external excuses, man.
Yeah.
These guys are professional athletes. They've been doing this since they were fucking 3 playing video games. Like, all of them. Every single last
That's
one
how
of them.
half of them met.
Yeah, exactly.
They met playing video games.
This video game knock is just the most ridiculous thing ever. It's like my utter kryptonite. I fucking hate that topic with all my being. No offense. I appreciate the comment and thank you for the super chat. But man, we are not going there with the video game stuff, man. I'm just not trying to hear it.
I will say this. You finish the game. You jump on a plane. You get to the hotel. It's late as hell. A lot of times, these guys need treatment. A lot of times, these guys are coming from a rough game, sore muscle, ankle. They'll be icing their foot while they're playing the video game. That's just part of how they operate. They incorporate the shit into their world. And like you said, I'd rather them be in a hotel room resting or in their house actually resting their body, playing some video games than out in what I've seen in New York.
Yeah.
Like
or Houston or just random day trips to Vegas or wherever.
I used to go to clubs where the Knicks used to be there all night.
Well, the Knicks aren't a great example.
But like Chris Stu says, I actually think the pressure we put on these athletes, you got to go back down low. Yeah. The pressure we put on these athletes for them to play a game is insane. I'm like, yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
It is.
But listen, like a lot of people just live and die with every single game. Every single game. Hell, even Darvin Ham was talking about it. Like, we got to stop. We got to stop. Like, sometimes we're going to have bad games. And like, yeah, I'm disappointed that they lost the game tonight, but I'm not like panicking or anything like that. Like, I'm just interested to see where they're going to go because I can't put a finger on their identity. And that's the thing that's probably a little bit more just unappealing about this team is because I don't know who they're trying to be. I don't know what they want to be. I don't know what their go-to is. I don't know what their DNA is because it's inconsistent on a day-to-day basis. So that's where I go with this is like the stress, yes, but it's also because of how we react to every single game. You got Ish Wainwright getting cut yesterday, and motherfuckers are out there just like, oh, he's trash. He should never freaking see the court again. I'm like, dude, he made it somewhere where you didn't.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, and for people to go out of their way, it has nothing to do with them, but they got to go out of their way to dog on people and trash people and tear people down that utterly have nothing to do with their life. And they could have just went right by a tweet or they could have just not said something. Like,
they don't even know these people.
In the middle of the game, you want to say something cool, whatever. But like you add an athlete and you start talking shit to them because they missed a layup in a game, like, stop.
Okay, real quick. One final thing, and then we're going to move on. Brandon in the chat said, and a couple other people kind of brought this up. Isn't this why everyone wanted DA out, and now it doesn't matter all of a sudden?
No.
Not on this panel.
No.
I can't speak for
No.
anybody in the chat or anybody on social, but on this program, none of us gave two shits
Zero.
about DA playing video
Zero.
games. The biggest gripe about DA was the consistency, the super high, the super low, night in and night out. But outside of that, we're going to move in. We're going to move on to the next super chat because I don't want to open that can of worms. Next up, we have one from Psycho Blue. Thank you, Psycho Blue. They said, Basketball Cthulhu is going back to bed. Too many open back doors and too many missed bunnies. And of course, we can't buy a call, ... right?
Yeah.
All correct.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The officiating tonight was a little bit, like, they kind of let Book get beat up a little bit, it felt like.
Nurk too.
Yeah, it seems like Nurk all the time.
Yeah, they hit the
But
deal,
especially
you know.
tonight with Book. And one thing that I am a little bit concerned about, which we'll hopefully be able to get a little more context from Gerald when he joins us later in the show. Gerald did tweet out, I asked Frank Vogel about the ankle turn and the shots to the ribs that Devin Booker took tonight. He said the ankle was fine. He has not gotten an update on the ribs yet. So I'm not saying that means something, but usually if you're going to give an update about one injury, you would have maybe a second one. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
I
the
can-
ankle because
I
they
can
had the
maybe-
halftime to look at
That's
it.
true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
And then, the ribs, they're just waiting.
Yeah,
But-
but we'll keep an eye out on that and maybe get a little information in the next couple of hours and or before tomorrow's game. Tim from Phoenix sent us one, and they said, Vogel said on December 19th, quote, big picture, end quote, doesn't see fourth quarter as a huge issue. Breaking news, we still suck at fourth quarters. I agree. I do think that the Suns need to prioritize figuring out what's going on in the fourth quarter. I know Frank Vogel also said after tonight's win that they'll have to look at the tape and mention that he has to get better about getting Devin Booker more shots in that fourth quarter specifically. So again, hopefully Gerald will be able to provide a little bit more on that for us here in just a few minutes when he joins. Will sent us a super chat. They said, Vogel worries me. He doesn't have an ability to rally the team, designate plays out of timeout, and correct bad behavior. He looks like he doesn't care.
I don't agree on the plays at a timeout because just the last game, we were talking about how crisp it was at a timeout, how they were converting with ease out of timeout. So I don't agree with that part in particular. Rallying the team, I don't know. I mean, how many coaches are rah, let's go get him? Like, does that shit work either? I mean, we got on Monty because he was using all these Monty-isms and trying to get the guys fired up. Like, I don't know. I can't read that stuff. I'm not in the room. So.
Like the thing that sticks out the most about that comment is he looks like he doesn't care. I don't see that. I don't see that.
Yeah. No, I don't agree with that. I mean,
Hasn't he gotten more texts this year already than
Yes,
like
than
Monty
Monty,
did in
yes.
his whole tenure?
Probably.
Monty never
Oh,
got a
yeah.
text. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
very even kill on the sidelines. This
Yeah.
Frank will yell a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how you determine who cares more
Well,
in those settings based on like that.
plus, you're not in the room. You're not like it's tough to make the assessment just based on the small things we're seeing on TV of a coach on the sideline.
and one last thing I'll add to that is it's easy to say that from watching the TV, and then you get on the bench and it's Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and you know these are three of the best guys in the world. You ain't gonna be in their face going crazy. That's just not how you handle things at that level. There's a way to do it, and I think Frank is somehow, some way doing that. He just doesn't. You don't see it on the screen.
I spent 3 seasons sitting courtside next to the bench, like caddy corner from the bench. And while you don't see a lot of things on TV, when you sit that close and you
Mhm.
hear what a coach is saying, the things he's doing, what he's talking to his team about in the huddle, what he's talking to his coaches about, what he's yelling at the refs, like you get a better picture of it. And I don't think you get the full view of it watching or even sometimes sitting 15, 20 rows up in there because the coach may look like he's standing there, not saying much of anything. And there's a constant dialogue
Yeah.
going on between the team, the coaches, and the refs. And so I think it's a little tough to judge that way.
All right, guys, before we do a couple more super chats here, we do have sound from Devin Booker on the Suns' offensive struggles and whether a lack of reps with the big three played a factor.
Yeah, we just need to go to our next option. Sometimes when the first option is taken away, like we said how they're playing, just over denying everything, it has to be, immediate, just next action. Go to, the next person, go dribble handoff somewhere else. Stop playing so slow.
Does part of that come with just getting more reps with, this is only like the 5th game, I think, the 3 of you have been out there together?
No, I think we should have it down by now.
Yes.
I didn't hear that.
He said, is it because you guys haven't had enough reps with, you got the big three only playing 5 games together right now? And Devin's face immediately was just like, no. Yeah. Like those three should be playing better together than they are.
Yeah.
Like that's just ball. And they've been playing together all summer. Once the Beal trade happened, like they've been going to the gym together.
Practice
They've been
counts.
playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, what are you going to do?
Not a lot you can do at this point. We just need to figure it out. But listen, we have a couple more super chats to get to. Gerald is joining us here in about 5 minutes. Real quick, I do want to check in though and see how we all did on our bets tonight.
About
Did anybody
as good
win?
As the Suns.
Did anybody win?
No.
No, we all lost. Unfortunate.
Well, Saul didn't technically
didn't lose. He pushed because Ja Morant didn't play, so his bet got canceled. So he's still at $11. I lost. I'm at $36.58 now. Flex also lost. He's minus
that ain't me.
$78.27. Emma fixed his face, and now he has a sad face because he's in the negative. And Espo under $100 now. You are at $98.50. Listen.
What? Yeah, you're at 38. Congratulations.
Because you're leading us, so I would tell you you're under $100 the same way that if Saul went into the negative, I would lead with that too.
It was the way you said it.
Sure. Get up out your feels, Espo. If you guys want to get in on the action, make sure you sign up for the BetMGM Sportsbook app using the bonus code PHNX. When you use that bonus code, they're going to hook you up with a $1,500 first bet offer. All you have to do is place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $10. And if that bet loses, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Check out the show notes for full details. And now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Suck it, Ontario.
Brittany asked how I lost. It was because it wasn't the final score after the second quarter, which would have been 5 or 6. It was just the second quarter margin. So I had to win the second quarter by 5 or 6, not the score. Also, if you guys are looking to save some pennies on your gas, which listen, it's important when you can get a discount on gas because 1, it doesn't come very often, and 2, gas is expensive. Circle K wants to help you out with that with their free membership program, Inner Circle. You save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. You save 3 cents per gallon every single time after that. And once you hit a certain threshold, you can bump that up to 5 cents per gallon as well.
Get more gas than a boat full of burritos.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, coupons on snacks and a lot of other goodies. So join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. All right. You guys want to name our big, bright, shiny star while we wait for Gerald?
If we have to.
I mean, we don't have to. We can pass. We can skip it if you guys don't want to. We're going to skip it. You don't feel like it deserves it today?
Who would it be?
Yeah.
Nurk.
20, almost 20
go to Nurk.
18 points, 19 rebounds, 5 assists.
I guess there's
got his
a
ass
bright
beat
spot.
Physically.
Good game, Nurk. Almost 20-25. That's a good game, but when you lose, who gives a shit? But
I mean, I do.
No, I get no. Nurk played hard tonight. Listen, 20-25 is a good basketball game. It is.
I don't know. All right. Congratulations, Nurk.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're doing. You're a big, bright, shiny star. Yay.
In the darkness, beyond the light, there shall only be one. Welcome,
Hi, Gerald. Welcome in. Glad to have you here. Got a couple big spots of conversation to talk with you about tonight, but I think the biggest one we can start with is the fourth quarter and just the letdown within that quarter. What did Frank Vogel and the players say about that?
Yeah, Vogel said he's got to look at the film, but his initial feeling is that he's got to do a better job of putting guys in spots, particularly getting, Devin Booker more shots. I think he only took 2 in that fourth quarter. Kevin Durant was saying that he felt like they got some good looks. A couple of his just didn't fall. He felt like a couple of the Suns didn't fall. But a lot of them were pointing more so to the defensive end. They weren't getting stops. Obviously, they got outshot by, I think, 21 three-point attempts tonight. And even with the Grizzlies being the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA, you're just fighting an uphill battle against basic math at that point. And Vogel pointed out, I think they hit 23 against the Lakers the other day. So they weren't as good about, they were good about keeping them out of the paint, but they weren't as good about closing out on the shooters that they needed to recover to. And I think that hurt them tonight. So a lot of different problems. I asked Book if the lack of reps with the big three is something that played a factor into them playing slow offensively. And as you saw from the clip, I'm sure he said, no, we should be past that by now. So it's one of those stark reminders that as much as it looked like they were turning things around, it's still a work in progress with the big three being out there and getting those reps together.
Gerald, is this your fault because you were back in the building? They played pretty well while you were gone.
I know. I think I'm the problem. The last time I was in this building was Christmas, and we all know what happened on Christmas. So I think it might be me. I don't know.
I think so, Gerald, unfortunately.
What was the sense from Frank, from Book? I mean, is this a feel that you can sense the frustration, or is this still kind of the same? We get it. On to the next one. We'll be in LA tomorrow.
I think there's a little bit of both. I think it's mostly frustration because this is a bad loss. Like, there's no way around it. Whether, we could talk about this only being the 5th or 6th game with the big three, whatever it is, but it's still an inexcusable loss. Like, the Grizzlies have been playing better recently since Ja came back. Not having him out obviously is part of that, but Marcus Smart is someone who wasn't there the first 2 times they played. He played really well. I think it's a case of, like, this is an improved Grizzlies team. The Suns are just kind of a little dumbfounded, I think, in terms of, like, man, we were turning it around. What the hell happened? Like, we thought we had exercised some of these demons, especially in the fourth quarter. And I think part of it, like, they might need to tweak the rotation a little bit because they've gone back to Devin Booker playing all of the first quarter, all of the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, he comes in with only about 6 minutes left. I think it's hard to get in the flow then when the flow of the game has kind of changed and the Grizzlies make that run. They've got to find a better lineup to start fourth quarters as well. They had to go with Saban Lee to start that fourth quarter because Josh Okogie was in foul trouble. It's just little things like that add up and lead to, a 14-1 run to start the fourth, which is basically where that game was won and lost.
Gerald, one of the things that I keep pointing out is we're now through 36 games, and I have no idea what the Suns' identity is. Like, what are they? Like, like, we know that they have the offensive firepower to be able to compete with everybody, but defensively, you thought Vogel was going to be able to shore that up a little bit. That's been a rough go. And from game to game, we don't know what they're going to rely on in terms of shooting, or, the turnovers have been kind of erratic, rebounds, I don't know when I look at this team what they are. And do you have any sense that, do you have a sense of what you think that they are? Do the players have any idea what their identity is supposed to be, or what their goal is actually supposed to be in terms of that identity? Because I'm kind of lost when it comes to that.
I think they have an idea of what they want to be and what they're supposed to be. They just haven't been able to become that yet. And I think that's what's so frustrating about tonight's loss is that, like, the Grizzlies are not as bad as the Portland Trailblazers team they lost to a few weeks ago, or some of the really bad losses they have this season, even with Ja Morant out. But, like, they were putting rhythm together. They were putting on both ends of the floor, really. They looked great offensively, and then defensively, they were keeping opponents out of the paint, which has been a big focus. They were doing better with their ball containment, which has been a big focus. And then tonight, it just felt like kind of a step backward, especially in those second and fourth quarters in the non-book minutes. And it's kind of hard to figure out what this team's identity is, because there are things that they say they want to do. They want to shoot more threes. They want to play faster, all this stuff, but they're not playing at a fast pace, really. They're only doing that when they get stops. They're a very average team defensively. They're middle of the pack still, and probably took a step backward in that category tonight with this loss. So it's hard to pinpoint, the difference between what they want to be, what they should be, and what they currently are. What they currently are is a team that still needs more reps together with the big three, with their rotations, that needs to stop turning the ball over, and that honestly is going to be a little undersized. I think the Grizzlies are a team that is suited to take advantage of that on the offensive glass when they're starting that lineup with Book, Bradley Beal, and Grayson Allen. It's a weakness that Frank Vogel has acknowledged, but he feels like they have the offensive firepower to overcome it. The Grizzlies are a team that plays too big, so that's going to make it harder to get away with lineups like that. So it's also a matchup thing in this case, I think.
Hey, G, I noticed, this is something I noticed, and I want your opinion on it. Like when we played against the Heat the other day, the ball seemed to be zipping around. There was a lot more movement, just a lot more flow to the offense. And then Kevin comes back today, and it felt like in a lot of spurts during the game, it was very stagnant, very you go, I go, you go, I go, kind of waiting for somebody to save the day, or for lack of better words, waiting for Memphis to fold as opposed to just playing basketball. And I kind of felt this way when they had Book and KD playing, and then Beal came back and was inserted. I think it was the net game. I kind of felt that. Do you sense any of that? Like, I know they keep saying, do they need more time together? But I feel like my biggest problem is every time they start to build some time together, you'll have one of them go out for 2 games. And then it's like a reacclimation period for like a game where it just looks really weird, and then they figure it out. Do you see any of that?
No, I think you nailed it. And I think that's kind of why I asked both Book and KD about that, the lack of reps together. Because, I understand. Like, they have the talent to be able to overcome that type of stuff against a lot of teams. But the NBA doesn't give you nights off anymore. Like, there are very few teams in the NBA that you can look at and be like, yeah, that's an easy win. And I think that's kind of showing a little bit the lack of continuity, because it feels like every time they start to build towards something, one of them goes out for a couple of games, like KD with the hammy in this case. And it's tough to keep starting from scratch and saying, okay, let's build on this thing that we had a week ago. Now let's build on it again. And it's tough. I think that they're moving in the right direction. Like 4-2 on the homestand is pretty good. They should have been 5-1. This was a bad loss. I'm not going to excuse that or beat around the bush with that. But I do think overall over these last couple of weeks, they've moved in the right direction. Now they just have to keep putting it together with Durant out there. And I think that'll take time because, like you said, there is a your turn, my turn kind of approach to the game right now. The ball's not moving. And I think they need to figure out how to do that better with Kevin Durant on the floor because he's not a ball stopper. He's not a ball hog by any means. But it does feel like, the offense wasn't moving as well. The ball wasn't moving as well tonight.
I know earlier in the week, Frank Vogel had talked about tightening rotations. And I get it, there's been some injuries. But are you surprised that KBD has kind of gotten back in there and played more than we've seen him as of late over the last few games here? I kind of feel like this is his last stand. Drew Eubanks got a similar chance, has kind of shown back up. But KBD's kind of flatlined again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely surprised just because Nasir Little being out has played a factor in that. And then also like Yuta not doing well the other night when he got an opportunity has kind of hurt. Like they need a backup wing in there. And I think with Kevin Durant out, that really exacerbates the wing rotation there. So I think that's kind of why he got his opportunity. And then again tonight. So it's one of those tough situations where he's done okay defensively, but it's the offensive end where you really need him to just knock down a three here or there. He did hit one corner three, but he hasn't brought a lot on that end of the table, and it's kind of disappointing because it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about him possibly competing for the 5th starting job. And now it's kind of like, okay, is he going to get any minutes come playoff time? I don't know if I see it right now.
Yeah, I'm not a big plus-minus guy, but I saw he's a minus 103 in fourth quarters. That ain't great. Even for somebody that doesn't believe in that stat, I know that says not good things. So.
Yeah, definitely not. Hey, Gerald, I know that you had tweeted out Frank Vogel said that Book's ankle is fine, but that he hadn't heard on the ribs yet. When you talked to Devin, did you ask him? Did he say he was feeling okay or anything?
Yeah, Dwayne asked him about the ankle and the ribs, and he said he's feeling fine. Gave his typical, 2-word response. It's fine. Afterwards, like, he's now, even if his foot could be chopped off underneath the podium and he'd never tell us, he'd say it's fine. So we'll wait and see and hear from the team to get an official diagnosis on the ribs, especially because it did look like he was wincing in pain there. He took a couple of shots for Marcus Smart down the stretch there in the ribs. And the fact that Frank Vogel kind of mentioned the ribs specifically was interesting to me, but we'll see. Hopefully it's nothing too severe. The back-to-back tomorrow doesn't help, though.
Yeah. I just want to round this out and get a gauge on where you are personally about this game on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, where are you sitting about this game?
Like, concern level?
Yeah.
Probably like a 5 or a 6, honestly. Like, it's a bad game, don't get me wrong, but they've been better over this stretch. I think there's still that acclimation process that we were talking about with the big three, and there's no excuse. They have more than enough talent to beat a team like this. It's a bad loss, but I do think it's going to take more time than we were hoping or anticipating to get 3 superstar talents on the same page to where it's all flowing offensively. And we've seen it with that starting group in particular for the most part in the first 3 games they played together. But again, this was only the 4th time we've seen that starting lineup together, so it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Can I address one thing before we go, Lindsay? I've seen in the chat a lot of people saying this is just a terrible rebounding team. It's been like that all year. Statistically, it's not the truth. They're a middle-of-the-pack team in rebounds, averaging 43.5, which will go up tonight because they had more than that. And they, going into tonight's game, allowed the fewest rebounds of any team in the NBA, like I said earlier, at 40.5. So this is not a case of this is just a horrible rebounding team that has not been the way it's played out. Tonight, they could have been significantly better, but that is not the way this has played out all year. Gerald, I just wanted to make you proud bringing up statistics.
I'm so proud. You cited plus minus and you brought up rebounding stats. Look at you go.
Yeah, well, you know what? Statistics can, you know what? Because I used statistics for my bet today, and that shit didn't work. So they're trash. They're trash. That's all I'm going to say. Gerald, thanks for coming by and providing us the information that we so desperately desire from players and coaches. Everyone, make sure you give him a follow on social at Gerald Bourguet. And, of course, go read his stuff over at gophnx.com. Bye, Gerald.
Peace out,
Bye,
G.
guys.
All right. Let's take a peek at the rest of our super chats here. We've got one from Mike Kafka. They said, can anyone recall an NBA team built around 3 players that had this much turmoil with 1 or 2 of the big 3 sitting out?
I mean, I don't know if it's turmoil.
Yeah, that's the wrong word.
Yeah, turmoil probably isn't. Yeah, I mean that would mean like they have a lot of off the court shenanigans.
Inconsistency.
Well, I mean, turmoil is also like just dealing with a lot of.
It's just injuries.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's just injuries. Like I don't think that's turmoil.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think it was the same, but like the Miami Heat the first year had their ups and downs.
They didn't start. They didn't start out still hot.
No,
I think they started off like 8 and 12 or something like that. So
I mean, I'd have to go back and research to find specific examples. But, you know, the big 3s that stick out in your mind are the ones that work. But you could argue, go back and look at the first Brooklyn big 3. What was it? KG, Joe
Johnson, and Paul Pierce.
Yeah, that group struggled mightily. The LA
Lakers,
the Nash,
Dwight Howard, and Kobe.
They struggled. Like, granted, those aren't good examples the way it ended, but those are examples, nonetheless, of groups of 3 that struggled out the gate.
The first big 3 that I can recall, like in terms of free agency and trade, was the Celtics. with the KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. That worked out, and they went to the finals 2 years in a row. But that was such a rare breed of guys because all three of them had different styles. And when you look at this team, like you have three guys that can shoot from the mid. They can shoot from all three levels for sure. But like Beal and Book are kind of the same a little bit. And then the way KD goes about his game and Book, they kind of run into each other a little bit. There's a lot of crossover with those three. Yeah. So it's hard to identify like what each one should be doing more often than not. And so they'll work it out. It's going to be a chore.
Mm-hmm. Pre-rush said, Dre, Kuminga, CP3 for Beal, salary and all seconds.
No.
He's got to be joking. He's got to be joking.
I don't think he's joking.
What wouldn't matter?
CP just got like hand surgery.
Yeah, he fractured his hand.
Fractured his hand. He's out. Like we're not getting CP. No.
The Haunted Kiwi, I love that name, says at the end of the day, 500 teams don't win titles.
Okay.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
yeah, but no team wins titles in January.
That's
so
right.
Say that too.
That's right.
Yeah, that's fair. Mm-hmm. Go To Tech Review sent us another one. They said West is still tight, but we need some urgency.
I couldn't agree more. No one's running away in the West.
Yes.
No one running away in the West.
That's the luckiest thing about this is you can still wind up in a top 4 spot if you get hot at a certain point because it's so bunched up. So that's the biggest bright spot, I think, is you're still within striking
and there's
distance.
times that I think that's part of what's happening. Like there's times that I think that there are days where I wonder if this West was tighter. Not tighter, but if there was someone separating or there was a clear-cut team, do you rest some of these guys as much as you rest them? Right? Are they? You're like, Kevin, take another day off. Oh, Book, take another day off. Oh, Eric Gordon, take some time. Make sure it's right. Like, there's a lot of that going on. And so that makes me feel like, are they really in that sense of urgency mode? Or are they just looking at the landscape and saying, man, we know when we're healthy, we can compete with any of these teams. There's no one running away. And so get all this kinks out early and let's see what happens. Again, I'm not trying to make an excuse, but I'm just saying that's what it is right now. No one's running away with anything.
I mean, the Lakers played last night, right? The Lakers played last night, and LeBron after the game said, "We just suck right now."
Mm-hmm.
Like they were happy, and now they're beating the Clippers.
They're tied. Oh well, they just went up 101-98, 41 seconds left.
So there's still plenty of time. There's always a reason to be optimistic. Nobody's saying that the Suns are going to win the championship. Nobody's saying that they're going to be the number 1 or 2 seed, that they're going to figure this all out and they're going to just obliterate everybody. Nobody's saying that. But, I do expect them to get better. And I hope to see better basketball moving forward, especially in the fourth quarter. I think that is a realistic expectation.
I agree.
Thunder Stan brought up the Lakers Clippers, said if the Lakers beat the Clips, cherry on the cake tonight.
Yeah, and the Clips are on a back-to-back, too. I know that's kind of cheating a little bit because he's staying home. He's playing. I get that.
Yeah, but it's only a 45-minute flight from here, too.
Not far, yeah. We're getting a Clippers team on a back-to-back as well, so we'll see how it goes.
So it's an even playing field.
Yeah.
All right, Go To Tech Review sent us one. They said chat needs some chill and some Call of Duty tonight. For real, winky face emoji.
I'm going home to decompress.
I think we should all go home right now, or when we wrap up here, maybe play a little Call of Duty, whatever video game is your video game of choice, or just something else that, take a bath.
I gotta go answer Gerald's questions.
I gotta ask my guy to the left here.
Do whatever you gotta do.
What's the go-to decompression right now when you go home?
I don't think you can say that.
No, for real. I'm keeping it real. What's the go-to? Like, you go home, you're not going right to sleep. What's the go-to?
I take 10 milligrams of OGs and I go sit in bed.
The company man. Look at this guy.
That's it, man.
That's what you doing?
I go chill, man. Yeah.
Okay,
What do you do?
I know. I'd literally go home, take a hot shower, and find like a show on Netflix for a couple hours. I don't go to bed till about 2, 3 in the morning, especially on game nights.
Oh, yes. Now we understand your performance on these shows. You stay up till 3 a.m. I see how it is.
Oh, shit.
Trade him. Espo, what's yours?
I'll read a book, talk to my wife, watch some TV.
Okay.
Different options.
I either play Fortnite. Y'all know I love that.
You do play Fortnite?
I do. Or if I had an actual... See, this is why I can't, because I have a Switch. I can't get an actual gaming console because I would play Call of Duty all the time.
Gotcha.
Like Fortnite is fun, don't get me wrong, but if I was at the level of Call of Duty, I would play it all the time.
You would.
I would play it all the time.
Right.
So I got to stick with Fortnite because it's like it's not as
So if we put Call of Duty in
grown
the
up.
office, you would probably get down?
I would totally play. I've never played it before.
Oh, let's go.
I've never played it
Let's
before
go.
because I know I would be hooked. That's why I haven't played it. I've always my whole life been a video game person.
Wow.
We know what we need to do now.
Okay.
Or TikToks. You know, we love some good TikToks to fall asleep
Okay.
to. I scroll until I get the message. It's like, hey, are you scrolling? And then I'm like, you're right. I got to go to bed. So
Okay.
whatever it is that you guys got to do to have a little bit of chill, make sure you guys do that. Thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate you for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow because we got another game, like we said, against the Clippers. So plan to come hang out with us. We'll have a pregame show 30 minutes before the game tips off, and of course, a post-game show. And y'all can talk trash about me all you want for playing Fortnite. I don't care. It's fun.
Larry Lewis has got it.
What did Larry
He
Lewis say?
nailed it.
He said, smoke, hit the bong, and sip some Crown Apple.
Whatever you gotta do, Larry Lewis, we support you. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to give the show a follow on social at PHNX_Suns. You can also follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow Flex at Flex from Jersey. And of course, you can follow Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
Remember, even if the boat is sinking, we got the dinghy full of sunburros, so we all right. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.